For the how, I would focus on showcasing your skills. For example, the methodology that you use, the tools or softwares that you use. I know ChatGPT is like a popular tool now. Recruiters are actually having discussions to identify whether someone wrote their resume on their own or whether they used AI to write it.
It's RSS.
Welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, thank you for clicking this video. My name is Nicole Nyasha and I share career-related content. 2023 is the year we should all level up and get our ideal jobs, and today I want to help you do so. I've been in the recruitment space for 5 years and I am a certified professional recruiter in North America, and I want to use some of my experience to help you out. When it comes to your resume, I think the first thing you need to do is shift your mindset from it just being a document or a paper that is highlighting your experience and start viewing it as a branding or a marketing document. For the most part, your resume is actually the first point of contact by the company's representative. That could be the recruiter, that could be the hiring manager, going to have with you. It needs to be something that will attract and compel them to want to reach out to you. It's your marketing or your branding document. For the most part, job postings will get anywhere between hundreds to thousands of applications depending on the type of role, type of company, and the industry. And so you have to know that there is competition. Let's say your resume does get seen. At the back of the recruiter's mind, they're going to categorize all the resumes they're going through into 3 main piles. First pile being, why did this person even apply to this job? I have no interest whatsoever in looking at this resume, and it's a hard pass. You don't want to be in this pile. The second pile is, okay, this resume looks interesting, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. I'm going to put it on the side. I'll come back to it later. And the third pile is the, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I need to reach out to this person right away before they're gone off the market. And this is the pile you want your resume to be on. Now, there are a couple of things that you need to do to make sure your resume lands on this yes pile, and I'm going to share a few of them with you. First things first, your resume does not need to be 1 page. Y'all, people need to stop listening to resume and interviewing advice from people that are not reviewing resumes and people that are not actually interviewing. I see a lot of people sharing resume tips, interview tips on Instagram, on TikTok, and sometimes I'm just shaking my head and I'm like, that is not true. Your resume does not have to be 1 page. We don't want to see a 5-page resume. I would say keep it between 1 to 3 pages depending on your experience. If you're a recent graduate, maybe you just have 1 or 2 years of experience, then by all means, I'd understand you having a 1 or 1.5 page resume. When it comes to the actual structure of your resume, you want the top parts to be your personal information. So your name, address, your phone number, your email address, your postal code and the city that you live in. You don't have to put your full address, but please put your postal code and the city, because sometimes if the role is not fully remote, recruiters do want to know if you live within a close proximity to come to their office or not. After your personal information, I always recommend putting a little summary, just 3 to 5 lines that outline or give a brief overview of your career story. Who are you? What are you? What are you looking for? Right after that, I'll put a skills section. Now, a lot of people make the mistake on this skills section to put skills that are very cliche or skills that you would expect to see in every job. So remember that you don't want your resume to be 5 pages. You want it to be maybe at the very most 3 pages. So you have to be careful with your real estate in terms of the paper usage or the document space usage here. So you want to focus on the skills, both soft skills and technical skills that are actually relevant to the jobs that you're applying for. After the skills, you can then put your experience. And after your work experience, you can also add volunteer experience if it's relevant, and then your education at the bottom. If you're a recent graduate, however, you should put your education at the top before your experience because you might be having limited work experience. Speaking of experience, the way you structure your bullet points is probably the most important thing on your resume. I remember when I first got into recruitment, the way I was trained to look at a resume was to check the top information if there's a phone number and an email, because we don't want to waste our time looking through a resume and we can't even contact the person. So if there's contact information, then would skim through, take note of the word skim through, not reading word for word. I was taught to skim through the profile section or that little summary section that tells about who and what you are, and then to go straight away to the bullet points and skim through again. So something to take note of is recruiters have to go through a lot of resumes for every single job posting. So they don't have the time luxury to spend 3 to 5 minutes just looking at one resume. So you have to make your information crystal clear and to the point so that when they're skimming through, they get something that captures their attention and they want to spend more time on your resume. There are 4 things you should focus on when you're writing your bullet points: what you did, how you did it, who it benefited, and what the result was. For what you did, you want to focus on action verbs, for example, led, manage. For the how, I would focus on showcasing your skills. For example, the methodology that you used, the tools or softwares that you used. And then for who it benefited, you're basically telling us who you served. And this could be internal or external stakeholders, for example, clients, partners, colleagues, other departments. And then for the result, we want to know what you accomplished. So this could be revenue, it could be time saved, or maybe you came up with a process that made your work more efficient. Just come up with something that speaks to what you accomplished in the work that you did. If you work in accounts and you're into payroll processing, for example, you could say on your bullet point, payroll processing. Or you could take it a step further and say payroll processing for a 300 employee division using SAP and maintained a 0% error rate. Now you tell me, which one do you think is better? If you're a social media manager, you could say grew company XYZ's LinkedIn profile, or you could say grew company XYZ's LinkedIn profile to 30,000 followers and maintained a 13% engagement rate within 7 months. Again, tell me which one you think is better. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, your resume is not just a document to list your tasks and, to repopulate your job description. In fact, to the trained eye, we can tell when you've copied your job description and pasted it to your resume. And now I also know a lot of people are relying on ChatGPT now. And as recruiters, we've also started having conversations in our communities. I'm in different Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups that recruiters are actually having discussions and teaching each other ways to identify whether someone wrote their resume on their own or whether they used AI to write it. So if I were you, I know ChatGPT is like a popular tool now. If I were you, I wouldn't rely on AI solely to write my resume. It could be a good idea to get you thinking, so maybe to get ideas, but I would still recommend that you reword it and you still write your resume on your own in your own words. I hope you found this video useful. If you've taken note of the tips I shared in this video and you'd like to have a certified professional recruiter take a look at your resume, critique it, give you feedback, definitely reach out to me using the link in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure you download your interview cheat sheet guide. The link will also be in the description box. And check out this video for other career related tips. God bless you, and I will see you in the next video.